Many of you guys asked me to make a video talking about playing aggressively in Fortnite, and since this is such a highly requested video, I decided to sit down and talk with you guys about how to play aggressively in Fortnite and be successful at it. In today's video, there's going to be a total of 4 tips that will help you guys out tremendously in becoming aggressive players. The reason playing aggressive in Fortnite is so important is because playing aggressively allows for you to dictate just about every fight you get into, which allows for more offensive plays rather than defensive plays. My goal by the end of the video is to explain the aggressive playstyle and how you can adapt and be a more aggressive player. Before we get started with the video, comment down below and tell me what level you guys are this season, and let's get right into the video. My first tip for you guys today is be close up to your opponent and practice close range fights. Being aggressive in Fortnite starts with winning close range fights. You're really never going to be a long distance or medium distance from your opponents when you play aggressively. You're going to be up close and personal. With this being said, if you guys use controller, I recommend that you guys jump with R3 because jumping and shooting will help you guys win close range fights easier. It's going to take some adjusting, but it definitely will help you guys in the end. If you guys take close range fights more often, you'll start to pick up different ways that you can win those fights. This is how I started to practice and improve at becoming an aggressive player. Just a quick tip inside of this tip, if you want to be an even more aggressive player and win close range fights, it's vital that you guys use items like stink bombs and grenades to aid you guys in winning those fights. You want to use everything that you possibly can to your advantage when you guys are playing aggressive. My second tip for you guys today is practice dictating fights and always applying pressure. Dictating fights is important to winning all types of fights in Fortnite, whether it be close range, mid-range, or long-range fights. Dictating how that battle between you and your opponent goes can simply be determined by the amount of pressure you apply to your opponent, including breaking their structures. When I play aggressively and my opponents build structures or attempt to build over me, I always start by shooting at their builds. What this does is denies them the ability to make the play they're trying to create and allows me to play offensively. When you play aggressive, you should be playing 80% offense and 20% defense. You should be always wanting to have your weapons out and ready to deal damage to your opponents by knocking their structures out or just by tagging them if they're in the open. As soon as you guys pull out your build menu, you play defensively, and this is something you want to avoid if you're trying to play aggressively. My third tip for you guys today is use building to create plays. When you guys play aggressively, you want to always be using your builds to create offensive plays. Like I mentioned in tip number 2, playing aggressively means you're playing 80% offense and 20% defense. Obviously, you're going to get tagged and lose health, which is normal and happens every single game you play. So when you do get tagged, obviously you should build for cover and use your cover to heal while you're in that fight. But using builds to give yourself a platform to shoot from or to maneuver a build fight to take on a fight with an opponent is the best way to use your builds when playing aggressively. You have to be extremely creative when playing aggressively and using all the tactics and exploits as well as the current metas in the game to have success. Creating a play with your building could simply be trapping someone advancing up a ramp with your pyramid and then taking high ground on them to get the kill, or faking another player out with a ramp and then editing that ramp to create a shot on them. You have to be quick though, which is why practicing your mechanical skill and fundamental skill will take you guys a long way when playing aggressively. You don't want to have any simple errors like pressing the wrong buttons or keys on your keyboard when playing aggressively, since your movement should be really fast and changing all the time. Try to move around as much as possible so that your enemies will lose track of you. When playing aggressive, this can be a huge factor in winning a fight since you're able to catch them off guard. My fourth and final tip for you guys today is using your building less. I've said it in this video and in previous videos multiple times before that when you pull out your build menu, you're instantly playing defensively. Even if you're making a ramp push at your enemy, your guns are out and ready to be fired. Sure, with the push of a button you can pull your guns back out, but really my point of telling you guys to use your building less is to get you to always be shooting at your enemy. It's a very important part of playing aggressively. Try to always apply pressure on your enemy. Think for a second, if your enemy has their build menu out and you have your guns out, who's dealing the damage? Who's shooting at who? The more pressure you add to your opponent, the quicker the decision they have to make. And when they're pressured into making that decision, oftentimes it will go your way. Just remember to always keep pressure on your opponent at all times. You can knock their builds out and retake high ground, and you can do a lot more with just applying pressure to their builds and applying pressure to them all the time. So to recap everything we talked about in today's video, always apply pressure to your opponents in some way possible, with your weapons or with explodes, including stink bombs. Use your building for defense when you have to, but use your building for more creative plays. Having your weapons out more than your builds is important, and use natural cover to aid you when you you don't need to use your builds to cover yourself. I hope this video helps you guys, and if it did, drop a comment down below and tell me about it. Use my code WyattSaveRebus in the item shop, drop a sub and like if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace out.